All right. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hope everyone had a good weekend. And we have a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Not since 2020 have we seen so much news event risk enter the market all at one time. Also, March typically is weak at this point, seasonality wise, which obviously shouldn't shock anyone because obviously, when back in COVID, March was very, bearish, almost basically crashed, if you remember. So let me do this here. Just make sure our live stream is working okay. Got my audio up. All right. Just gonna go ahead and say hi to everyone here. Take my camera off here. Okay. All right, guys. So, like I was saying, the market has got a lot of challenges right now. Okay. There's a big test for the market coming up. And there's also a big test for the United States coming up with this situation in the Middle East. Okay. This situation in the Middle East is not good. There's no other way to to frame it because like when we started and when this event happened, it was a lose-lose. And that's what I said weeks and weeks ago. This was going to be a lose-lose for the United States. There's no like victory where you can hit check, there's no checkmate move. There's at best some type of ceasefire, stalemate, and a new, equilibrium that may develop in the Middle East that's a lot different than what we have. So the hornet's nest is, been shook, and so now you can't go back and change it. So there's only a couple paths, right? You can just think about, well, what are the moves? What are the moves that Trump can do, right? So Trump can retreat. It looked like this weekend he was going to retreat, right? Looked like he was going to retreat, but then what would be the consequences of retreating, right? What would be the consequences? Well, the consequences would be a lower dollar. The consequences will be the petrodollar era is over. Okay, right? We'd have a lower dollar. So those would be the consequences, right? We call this, let me move that box so you can guys see the chart, actually see the charts here. Okay. So we call this the historic bear flag. It's going to break down at some point. Maybe it's already ended. We just don't know it, right? When it does, there's going to be a historic climb of the dollar index. Okay, maybe it's already ended. We don't know. So we know in the future something's going to cause the dollar to kind of devalue. All right. That's why people are so bullish on gold and silver and crypto and all that. And also commodities, because anything priced in dollars will go up. And this was always our idea that if you got the grand super cycle push higher here, that may be for all the wrong reasons. Because just remember, I posted on my X feed, Venezuela, during their hyperinflationary period, their indices went up tenfold. So this could be for all the wrong reasons. Just remember that. Now, if Trump leaves in tucks tail and goes home and says, screw you guys, and Europe, you're going to have to deal with this, it's your problem, then what's going to happen? Let's play it out again. Dollar is going to go down. And now the GCC nations are going to know we can't rely on the United States anymore for protection or for anything. So that the plane they gave Trump, the investments they've been funneling into United States, into the Kushners, all that was all for nothing. It was wasted money. So all that money is not going to come back to the United States anymore. They're going to have to rethink their strategy. So that's going to be a problem. Our other allies will also know when the going gets tough, we go home. So they're going to have to rethink their strategy. So it's going to be, everyone's going to be very inward looking if that were to happen. And it will definitely hurt, global trade, but also hurt money coming into the United States. So what is that? Well, who's going to want to buy our treasuries? Who's going to want to buy our bonds anymore if we can't do, secure? So if we can't show the strength behind, our dollar and our, bond. So those are going to go down in value, which means rates will go even higher. So there's too much at risk. And then all the diplomacy, diplomatic effort, the blood, sweat, and tears of building the presence in the Middle East would be all for naught. The last 30 years is gone. So going back is never going to happen. That is just a bluff, I believe, to scare Europe and maybe other parties to get more involved. That's all that was. But he could choose that. So if he chooses to go home, that's probably what would happen. Now, what if he wants to go get, Karg Island and seize it? Okay, there's two possibilities. He's successful and we take it, or we fail and we get annihilated. Okay, so if we get annihilated, well, obviously that's the worst situation of them all, right? Because then that's the rise of Persia, rise of Iran. They're gonna, they're gonna win. Then they'll pay. You'll have to charge a toll. They're gonna rebuild their country, and the United States will have to leave. So we still leave. So we talked about what that means. Now, what if? And then of course, unpopular. It would be very unpopular. Now, what if we are successful and we take it? Good for us. It's great that we may be able to take that island, and we may be able to. Maybe we're strong enough to be able to do that. But the problem is, we would be calling the shots, and we would own China's energy situation. We would have so much leverage over China. There is no way China would maybe allow it. But even let's say they would allow it. Let's say they're just asleep at the wheel and will let us do it and take it, not thinking we would be successful. And we are, and we take it, and we own that now. And there's another chess piece off the chessboard. And now we have Venezuela oil and China, and then we have that oil. And now we charge a toll to use it. So then China's like, okay, they're from a strategic standpoint in such a bad position at that point. But basically, they've been not playing the game. Everyone's been moving their pieces around the playing field, and they haven't done anything. And now they're going to lose. So they're going to. I expect they would go take Taiwan if we are successful and take Karg Island. No one is thinking that. So you're hearing that first. So even if we are and we get it, I think will go right after Taiwan, because they'll need to level the playing field. And then it's like, okay, you got our oil? Well, we got your semiconductors. Fair trade. Okay, yes, you can really screw us. Well, we can really screw you too now. So that's what I think will happen, even if they were allowed. And then I didn't mention this. And then, of course, if we go back and just retreat, Israel, you've got to get Israel to agree. Are they going to just allow Iran to charge a toll in perpetuity and make a fortune and become the rise of Persia? No, they're going to probably continue to bomb them. So that, and then what will eventually happen is all the infrastructure will be destroyed, including the Iranian oil, and you'll have a massive world war, break out. So if Trump leaves, he's got to assume Israel will stop. But if Israel doesn't stop, you still blow up everything, and then global trade collapses. Okay, so it's a very bad situation, right? There's just a lot of lose paths, but yet the market is asleep at the wheel. The market has no clue. They think it's a nothing burger. They think this is like, he'll just taco. Oh, there was someone talking about a ceasefire, and now he's talking about blowing up power plants. Okay, blowing up power plants and stuff. That's the ladder of escalation. Now we're talking civilian infrastructure. What comes after that? Well, you know what that is, nuclear, right? You're going to escalate and escalate. So is that a threat? I don't know. Is it? Who knows? I think he's going to have to back it up. He can't not do it. And so I do believe that. And then, of course, Iran will go for the desalination plants. And that's what I said they would do if they if they were to get attacked from power plants or their oil infrastructure. They're going to go after desalination. And then you're going to have a massive disaster in the Middle East. So the within the market, so this is geopolitical backdrop. So all of that is bad. All of that means volatility. But what it does mean is like in terms of like we're how fast does this play out? Now, I think this can play out pretty quickly because it can get out of hand very fast. And so when we look at the market right now on the grand super cycle, and I'll go ahead and drop my camera now. You guys seen enough of me here. Okay. So this is the Dow Jones, and we know we're in a parabolic blow-off top, pretty much straight up. And like I said, I can tell us, my 10-year-old kid, and if I told him, should I put every dollar I have in my piggy bank here or down here, he'd probably look at me like I was dumb for even asking that question. But yeah, most investors have every dollar they own in the market right now. Right now, right here. Now look at this potential candle on the monthly development. That looks like a monthly reversal candle. That's what that looks like. You see this shooting star with confirmation on the monthly if we close like we are on March. And then what does that mean? A reversal on the monthly cycle, bear market, guys. But the good thing is we have a little bit more room to go before we pop the bubble. Okay, so if we look at the Dow Jones, it can still fall all the way back down to about 41,300 before the bubbles popped. When that level's breached, the stock market bubble is popped, and you'll have a rapid collapse of the markets. Okay, because leverage will adapt, come out of the system, panic. It'll be a historic crash. The question is, what would the first wave down look like? So if we were to come down to here, this is going to be defended at all costs by the market. Okay, so we're either going to bounce and go to new all-time highs, and that can happen, and we go essentially vertical for the final blow-off top, or we fail. And if we fail, like I said, we're likely to go back and go back through the April lows. And then I think we're going to find a resting spot somewhere around here. And what's going to happen is you will get a bear market rally. But the problem is we don't know what kind of rally. Are we going to get a rally that goes for many years all the way back up to the all-time highs, kind of like you had here? And then you have the crash of all crashes, bear point. What the bears dream about. Oh, look at that. Great Depression. I call this like the second Great Depression. Okay. And then we bottom somewhere down around, I'm calling it at 17,000-ish, right around here. Okay, this is path. To get this path, we need to have cyclicals lead again, materials lead. And we need to get a rotation, and we need to have a super cycle in those kind of sectors. Including energy is okay, and commodities like the 1970s look kind of like this. We all remember the housing bubble here. The materials sector did extraordinarily well, the XLB. So in the Russell, I totally made new all-time highs. Now, technology didn't do any of those things. So again, the market will trade in multiple dimensions. So not all sectors will be winners in this formula. But this is what I've always thought how we would end the grand super cycle, just like this. But we can't rule out a small bounce, and then we just come down like this. And you get a deflationary collapse, depressionary collapse. I don't know which one we're going to get. But we're going to know soon as we fall, because we're going to see those sectors and see what happens. So what sector do you want to watch? Well, materials and copper are your clues, I think, as well as the Russell Index, small caps. Okay. So that's what we got to watch for. But we don't need to worry about that because right now we just have this big elbow down in a box that I said was very dangerous for reversal. And what do you know? It reversed. Okay. So now where is the market going to go now? Right. That's what everyone wants to know. Here's the problem that I have and why I posted recently. The selling may have not even started yet because the AI trade hasn't even corrected properly, right? Let's go to SanDisk. Okay. I mean, I have to go to a shorter time frame, but you get the idea. There's been no correction. This will correct properly soon, and it may have already started. What do you think is going to happen to the market when SanDisk, makes a proper correction? I'm not saying the bubble pops. It could pop. No, that would obviously be the deflationary scenario I talked about. But what if they just get a proper correction? The market's going to go much lower. What about NVIDIA? All right, what about NVIDIA? All right. It needs a proper correction. We haven't had one. Look. See? There's been no correction. That's a correction. We haven't had one. So what are you going to do when NVIDIA comes back down to like 140? The market, so that's what I'm saying. The sell-in hasn't started, and I can make this very simple. The AI sector hasn't sold off yet. It hasn't even corrected. So investors are way overconfident and complacent in the AI trade right now. They're not thinking about what can go wrong. But copper is telling you something is going wrong right now. It is telling you that, and the materials sector, because if those sectors were still pumping higher, then I would be more confident that expansion is happening in the economy. Well, what are we expanding? Well, of course, we're building out data centers and AI infrastructure. If those sectors are dropping, things are shutting down in the global economy right now. It just hasn't hit the news cycles yet. It hasn't hit the earnings report yet. No one's going on TV to let you know, but they're going to have to soon, and you're going to find out. And when you do, these stocks are going to drop, and then the market's going to go down even further. So the question is, where can the market go? And I warned everyone that SPY 652 could be a trap door. Could be an illusion, a chart pattern illusion that may have seduced traders, and now they may find out tomorrow, that it doesn't work because there was so much confidence in this right shoulder. It may not happen. The Elliott wave count shows and implies it's probably not going to happen. Now, I can always make a count work to make it bounce, but I'm just going to tell you, if you want where I think it's going to go, I think we're going to hit 605. That's where I think it's going to be tested. The real test right there. That's where I think it is. Now, that's probably where you can get a weekly cycle bottom somewhere down in here. Now, the 4-hour cycle is oversold. I get it. It is. And I agree. The 4-hour cycle is oversold. The market is desperate to bounce higher on a technical relief rally. So that's why we have this bounce here in B. Okay. See that? Everyone see that? I'm showing a bounce before we go even lower. Okay. Now, we don't have to do this because this could become another 1-2-1-2. And then we could just go into 3 of 3 mode Monday. All day Monday could be a bloodbath. And then we won't bounce and we'll just finish. Okay, and then the 4-hour cycle can bounce. So the 4-hour cycle is due for a rally, and I get that. But that's where the SPY is. Now, the Dow Jones is interesting because that level I told you around 41.3, coincidentally, is right around this confluence of these black lines. What do they represent? A wedge. I mean, if I just draw, and I can just be very simple. I can just draw these lines through a majority of the wicks. Yes, they may not touch exactly, but I don't really care. I just draw them through the majority of the wicks, and you can see a wedge. You could see an overthrow of the wedge in a potential 5. And now you're back into it, and guess where where the other side of the wedge is? Right here. And then you have chart support right here. This confluence. What usually happens when wedges break? They go into a waterfall sell-off, right? Now, usually there's a back test, right? So gotta watch out for that. But that would be a short opportunity. And then you get a catastrophe, because usually you go all the way back down to where the wedge started. Oh my God, that's what I just said, 16,000. No, that can't be. That's the depressionary crash. That can't be. Well, that's the pin pop in the bubble I talked about, right? So we don't know how this is going to play out. If we get into this part, if we're here, we don't know that. We will only hope that we push down a little further, and then we rally like that. But if we don't do that, and we get something more like this, then I'm afraid you may get the deflationary crash. So it is what it is. So those are the scenarios for the downside. Now the upside scenario is pretty straightforward. We have to finish this cycle that we're stuck in. And there is some divergence, and that means momentum is accelerating downward, which means sellers are getting more fearful. It's getting more fear. There's more fear. And again, we have a bounce coming, but it may not happen, doesn't have to happen, but we expect more downside. I do expect this level to be challenged on the Dow Jones. This is going to get challenged. This is the line in the sand, if you want to call it that, right? This is where it all is on the line right here for the bulls and bears, for the control of the world market for many years to come. Because if we can rally from here, we can extend, and we could probably make that blow off top. But if we can't, it's over, guys. It's over. And I hope you preserved your capital, is all I can say. And I hope my message and warnings has helped you prepare for this situation. And that's all it is, guys. So that's where the Dow Jones is, the SPY. And in technology, like I said, the selling may not have even started if the AI sector cannot get, has not even sold off yet. Okay? It hasn't. So that means investors are like, la, 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 la. They don't know. They're so complacent. It's unbelievable. But it's not all the investors' fault. They're being misled by a lot of media personalities, CEOs, the TV that you watch, the programs, because they're biased to making sure you don't sell. The only reason those channels exist is to make sure you never sell. And so that's what's happening. So it's not all their fault. They can't help it. That's why I started my channel, because I just got sick of people losing all their money from bad advice out there. And that's why I started my channel in 2021, December, because I saw the tech collapse come in 22, and there was so much bad information going out on mainstream TV to have retail load up, which was the wrong call. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So I started my channel. And you have to remember, guys, I started my channel. I didn't care about subscriber count or impressions or CTR. I didn't give a shit about any of that for years. I didn't even look. I just wanted to get this message out. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about anything like that. I just want to get the message out. None of that. I probably could be a lot bigger if I did care about that, but I never did. I just said I need to get this out because I'm just so upset at the public and people online losing big. And this is what's going to happen all over again. And it's going to be a tragedy because people are going to lose everything. They're going to lose everything. And it's going to be a sad day. And that's unfortunate. So Before we go into your questions, I just want to go into my website real quick for anyone that's new joining my channel. You can go to ElliottWaveSage.com, and this talks about my system. And yes, we caught the top in crypto and all that, and silver. And believe me, I see it all the time on X. A lot of influencers, like I called it, and they did. But you have to pay $500 a month for that kind of information. For me, $5 a month. So who's got the better deal? Okay, $5 or $500. You can still get the same information. We still call it the same cycles. So my system works, guys. Now, ElliottWaveSage, you can look at it here. You can see about me. I don't hide who I am. If you do enough sleuthing, you'll find out who I am. I don't hide it. In fact, like I tell people, the people you follow online, or you may even subscribe to, or they put on, you may have stronger credentials than they do, for all you know. Who knows what you're following online? Who knows what those people, what their backgrounds are in? All right. And then $5 a month, we cover the basic symbols. Pro group, we just added Palantir and Robinhood. And then elite members, we pretty much cover the entire stock market. And I give a really good update on the weekend. I mean, I put out a thorough analysis, macro analysis, and just overall technical, review of the market. Okay, $50. So that's my top tier, not 500. Okay, not 500. All right. I have added this on-demand service. I've done quite a few of these. It's been really popular. So if you really have like a need to get something looked at quickly, you can't wait to a live stream, or you want something more in depth, you can do this, and you can just click this button, and it goes right to a pay link, and you pay, and I get the email, and I'll send you the reports. Okay, and I have literally hundreds of these kind of posts, and you can go on my X feed about my people that are happy about what I've done over the years. And yes, years, guys, I've been on since 2022, December 21, okay, with a brief pause for a couple months. And then that's about it. That's all I'm going to say here. I did add a new section for market intelligence. You should definitely look. I do write up these articles. I think my first article, if we go back, was a day of global shifts. And this talked about the escalation in the Middle East, a crisis deepens. I talk about what was about to happen, and it all happened. So again, this isn't just like, just junk. Like, this is important stuff. Gas prices look ready to break out. I had a lot of people dislike this, but guess what? This thing's trading at over $100 now. I'm just trying to help you guys position. Right. I'm not here to hurt anyone's feelings or give you happy talk. Right. I know, like I said, gas prices look ready to break out. Well, guess what? They did. On March 6th, I told you guys that was going to happen. I gave you guys this simple chart. It's a very simple chart out there. And for some reason, people refuse to listen to it, I guess, or upset about it. And again, I'm not here to give happy talk either. Right. You can go watch mainstream TV for happy talk. They'll give you all the happy talk you need. I'm going to have to tell you how it is. Okay, that's what I do. I don't give happy talk just to make people feel good. Because unfortunately, we've got problems in this market. Another thing I'm worried about is this monthly cycle. This is a sharp elbow down. Well, we saw the candle that I just showed. I mean, if I just draw a line here, right, that's a warning sign. A major cycle could be coming to the end. That's the 22. And then, of course, if I draw it from the 2009 cycle, we got to keep an eye on that. That would be, without any doubt, the bear market is started. And then if we look at the SPY, it's a little more concerning, because here and here, you've already breached it. So you see that it's likely to come back and test that. So I'm saying the selling may not have even started. Look at the stochastic on a monthly cycle, guys. It just rolled over here. See that? It just rolled over. It's got more selling to come. It isn't Because everyone's talking about it's oversold. How the heck is that oversold? That's not oversold. That's like, we're just getting started. We're just getting started. Again, the 4-hour cycle may be oversold, but not these higher degree cycles. So, and the other thing I'll leave you with is bear markets, most people lose their money buying the dip, not from the first wave down. It's buying the dip after the first wave. So let's assume we do find support here. This is where everyone piles in because you can't go wrong going long, like April 25. But this time it doesn't do what April 25 did. This time you rise, but then you just wake up and you're gap down here. You're gap down here. That's how it will go down, and why most people will lose all their money. They'll lose all their money in that manner, not from this first wave down, typically. Now maybe people are losing money who bought the dip Friday thinking there was going to be a rise shoulder, and okay, there's no rise shoulder. So they're going to lose money. That of course is called, going to happen. But this is this area, and then in the technology area here. Because if we bounce here and we can't get to new highs, the next leg down will be catastrophic. It will be, a tremendous catastrophe for investors, because I have a feeling you won't be able to just comfortably get out and buy puts. I have a feeling whenever that bounce ends, you're going to be way down here, and the market won't be able to open that morning, and they'll just have to force it open. And then you're just going to have to take whatever price you got. And they're going to say, yeah, sorry, it's redefined print. You should have, thought about that. So that's something you have to be careful about. So remember, buying the dip, that Luna, that's how everyone lost their money in Luna. They thought they were getting a good deal on Luna. So even crypto wasn't going to be immune as this thing pulls back, because we have Bitcoin going lower, right? Bitcoin's going lower. And again, we had the short right here. In fact, we pinpointed the entry. We even called this little top here. So we got to go a little bit higher. We did. So, we called this short here. And so we've done really well with Bitcoin through this cycle, because we also called the short right here. You see that? And we actually covered the short here, and then we reloaded here. And then we actually bought this dip here, right in this box, to make that money. And someone thought I was in a whale that knew about, because only like a few super duper insiders caught that dip. And there's one guy out there, millions of followers, and he caught the dip. In fact, he was shorting it, and he laughed about getting the dip there. But our members actually caught the dip with them. And I had people email me, just asking me, how the hell did you get that? Who were you talking to? They were like wondering. But it's our system, guys. That's how our system works. Our system picks up those footprints they leave behind. They leave behind footprints. They don't realize it, breadcrumbs, and we pick them up and we follow those. And because the price, you can't change the momentum in the price. So, they can maybe bid the price, but our momentum and price. So that's what we have. So I think, again, markets are oversold on the 4-hour. I get that. And they do need to bounce. And I can't see a rally coming. Okay, a technical rally. So, but the market needs hope. And right now it has no hope. So unless Trump backs off on his tweet like Monday and says, oh, I never said all that, I'm not going to blow up anything. Oh yeah, no. Then you're not going to rally. And watch him. He may do that just to screw with the markets. He may have done that. And then he may just say, yeah, you know what? I'm not blowing up. Well, of course, that's a war crime. I'll never do that. What are you thinking? So you can't trade on these headlines, guys. Okay. You can't trade on these headlines. So, okay. Requested stocks. Let's go into what you guys have. All right. Long. How do you sleep? Your outlook is so in depth. Yeah. I just enjoy what I do. I enjoy what I do. That's all. Everyone has things they enjoy what they do. I enjoy doing this. Okay. So this is an interesting question, this Indo-TPET ratio. I never thought to look at it this way. I'm not going to tell you what it means other than just I did it since you were asked. It looks like a 3-way move crash correction is happening here. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. But I think I see a three wave and a crash correction. Yep, I see that. Okay. Bear flag, a breakdown. Would this resolve as a three wave move with divergence? So this could always become three waves because now you're in X. But the way I would trade it is long above that low. I would assume the X is done because it was so deep, so severe. I would just assume it's finished and make the market show you it isn't. So I would just assume it's in a new uptrend. And unfortunately, TradingView, I can't go to a smaller time frame. This is all we get on this type of, because it's a ratio. So it looks like a 1-2, 1-2. So yeah, it's in the middle area where the market hasn't decided. Now, if we could take out that peak right there at 473, then it has a chance to come back and fill these gaps. Okay, and guess what? That's probably coincides with the oil market, right? So let's take a look at what oil's doing tonight. Jammed up in this battle. But once oil, I think, takes out 102.57, I think it's a quick move to 120. We dance around 120, perhaps makes a cup and handle, and then it's go time. And if you thought this was bad, you have no idea what's coming. Oh my God, you would be begging to be able to buy gasoline back here again. That's what I'm saying, guys. You got to prepare. But most people are just worrying about the Final Four and what's on TV, and I hate Trump and I hate Schumer. They're not even paying attention to this stuff. And you got people lining up at airports like they're cattle. They're supposed to sit in there 4 hours, 5 hours. I'm like, it's amazing how obedient society is. Just like COVID. Oh, wear your mask. You give up your freedoms, and everyone's just so obedient, so like okay with doing that. And I just look at the airports, and everyone's just so cordial and just like, we'll stand in line for 5 hours or 4 hours. I mean, I'd probably be arrested or something. I couldn't do that. There's no way I would cancel my flight. I can't handle that kind of incompetence. But society eventually is going to lose their mind. They can't. They're not going to be able. And maybe that's the whole point of this. What the government, what these guys are doing. So again, I want to show you guys oil. We're looking for a three-wave move. We're looking for 208, 210, and oh yeah, then yep, we all remember that. I wrote that years ago because I knew this box would eventually get tagged. I just didn't know the crisis that would allow this to happen. Now, some people are starting to talk like 400, 500. I mean, anything in the lie, anything's possible. It's not likely, okay, because it would have to be truly unusual. Because we're looking at from a peak to peak to peak. It's highly likely that's the peak. Okay, now maybe we can wick above it. Now it could spend more time consolidating, and of course, then you can go to higher prices. You see 300, 320. But if we just go vertical, like tomorrow, this is where I would be looking to sell oil. Like it's over, like the pump could be over, right? It could be coming to an end. And that's my target. It's been my target for a long time. So, but to get there, we have to grind higher through this. And this just reminds me of how silver, before it pumped, it had to do all this kind of grinding and stuff. So I think the oil stocks are good to stay long and pick up on pullbacks. So if oil pulls back down to 84, then I would look to buy energy. I would be looking around the market to find out what energy stocks can I buy. All right, URNU, we can take a look at URNU here. And this uranium, we expected this to go lower, and it is. This is a really tough chart here, but I have it as a leading diagonal and 3 waves. And then 3 waves, and then 3 waves. It looks like it's finished the whole thing, and we have a connector, and we can double correct back down. I'll probably be looking for like 1920, 1896, but you have to keep in mind the URA is also uranium. Again, these levered products are notorious for being difficult to chart. The URA has a long way to go, 35.20 still. Okay. Once it comes down here, then there's a problem still that we need to think about, the more bearish case. Because remember, the URA is not at the all-time highs. We only have made 1, 2, 3 waves up. Okay. Now, it did make this little higher high here, but that's not a 5-wave move. So this could become a WXY or bigger 1, 2. So what I'm trying to say is it could go lower. It can go lower. And if it goes lower, this is likely to go lower. So, but I do think there's a lot of support right here. So if it's going to go lower, I think you will bounce. And then at some point, the market will either take it down another leg or that's it. It's new highs. But you need to be watching the URA to understand that. But that's the chart. I don't think it's going to bounce at 22.26. I think it's going to go deeper into this box. GBF is an interesting one because you have to really step back and look at it. So you have 5 waves up, but you only have 3 waves down and then another 3 waves up here. And so it looks like it's doing a big flat. Now, and look at that elbow down. That is nasty. That is exactly how flats are born. Okay, especially when you go back under the all-time high. Look at that. Oh, man, that is nasty. I mean, that is almost like abandoned ship. But it's right at the level. It's going to probably breach that tomorrow. And once it does, the flat is born. And it theoretically could come all the way back down to the lows. But something like this typically creates like a run-in flat. So it may not. But the cycle has to finish. And if you look at this, you haven't even got wave 1 done yet. Wave 1, you're still in wave 1. So you're going to have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is just starting the downtrend. And I was looking at it. I was like, what is this company, right? What is this so bearish? It says it's industrial services. The firm also offers engineering and services to customers in the process industry. So I'm not too worried about it. It's kind of like, it's definitely one I like for the future because it does have the higher high. So the future, I think, will be okay, but it's got this shakeout coming, a flat, because the stock got ahead of itself. The stock was ahead of the fundamentals, and the fundamentals said it's not time yet. So it's going to rip back down. So somewhere down here is what I'm thinking. Maybe it comes back all the way down, but obviously there's going to be a lot of panic in this. To invalidate this view, you have to come back and take out the all-time high. And if you can do that, then we're good. Now, the reason we think this could happen also is the way we bottomed here is a lot of bullish divergence. And typically, you need to bottom in 3 waves with no divergence. So that usually means you're in a sucker's rally. And eventually, even though these rallies can go extraordinarily high, the market always comes back to correct that imbalance, usually. And that's what it's doing. So that's what's happened here. Zcash. The long-term forecast, again, I look at Zcash and I have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of this. You only have 3 down. And then you have 3 up, and then you're coming the way we came down. With so much momentum, it's a flat. It's another flat. It's a huge flat. Okay, so this flat's got to play out. And if I look at the count as of now, I want to see one more leg down. Like with crypto, one more leg down. It's probably coming back down to where this black line is: $4, $5, somewhere in here. Now, when it's finished, because you have a higher high, it should be another bull market out of this. Okay, how high can it go? Again, this is about use your imagination. There's really no way to know. There's no way to know. It can go extraordinarily high, but typically, when I look at these kind of things, I like to just draw the peaks right between the wicks and kind of try to somewhat look at that. So if we finish C, then we consolidate a little bit and our next pump comes back up, you're looking at 89, 90, something like that, 100 max. But you have a lot more pain to come. I wouldn't even be worrying about how much you could make. I would be worrying about how much can you lose right now, because this is still in a downtrend. This is not ready to go yet. It looked like it did, but it's too much momentum to the downside. Okay. And you can see here, the 4 hours just ended the cycle. So this selling has just started. So this 4 hour cycle is not oversold. It's the opposite of the market. Look at that. And look at that hidden bearish divergence. See the peak in RSI? If I line up the price of this peak of the RSI, the price was at around 21.91. The last time the RSI was at that peak was on November 21st, and price was at $50. That is massive hidden bearish divergence. That is telling you, look how far the price fell from that RSI level, and you're at the same level basically. So you got plenty. You trapped a whole new set of buyers. Is what you did. A whole new cycle of daily cycle buyers. How about the weekly cycle? So weekly cycle is was showing signs of life, but I bet that's going to erase and fall again. And I bet we're going to take this out and we're going to take this out on the weekly cycle. That's what I bet's going to happen. Okay. And the monthly cycle is still wide open. So it still shows you're in a bear market, right? So it wanted to rally, but the monthly cycle took over, right? It wanted to find a more substantial low here. And it gave the illusion of a bottom, but then the monthly cycle took over. It's not done. AG. So AG's in a box right now, very much like a crash correction. And if we look at this, again, I was trying to be generous with this count at first, like, okay, maybe it's a run-in flat, but B never really made it all the way up to the peak. But again, we don't want to be too orthodox with Elliott wave theory, because it obviously reset an entire cycle of corrected. So I wanted to put the two there, but if I wanted to be super orthodox, I would call this A, B, and C a flat, and we would come back down to like the A wave, $2. But I don't want to call that. But that test is happening right now in AG. Okay, that test is happening right now because this box has to produce a rally. If this box fails at 1457, we're going to go with that bearish view. We have to. There's no other count. And then we would be in a bigger flat. Okay. Now, if that box can hold, then this cycle can finish, just like I have here. When this 5 finishes, we probably come back and test this 26 again, and then we would extend. So where can it go to? Again, I always say, right now, you need to be thinking what you could lose because of the situation the market's in. But if I connect this peak, the most I could ever see it going would be $105 at this point. That's the most. That would be I would sell everything I own there if I woke up and that's where it was. But I may have to take a very painful path to get there first. And that's being tested right now in the market. Okay. And that is what does that test represent? The test represents the dollar index and what that's going to do, because silver miners in a box need to extend. That means gold and silver would like to bounce. And that means the dollar index would like to go down. And that means we go back into that rotationary market that I was talking about before, right? Where we have some sectors continuing higher while others may not. And the market can go more sideways. But if we don't get that and the dollar just continues to strengthen and strengthen, we're getting a deflationary collapse. And that means the silver is going to go below 50, it's going to go below 44, and the gold is going to go below 3,000, and everyone's going to get blown up. And that means there's something way worse going on in the economy than we realize. That means there must be a massive global shutdown. like COVID all over again. Again, no one's telling us on TV. They're not seeing it on X yet. So these are the warning signs. So we need to bounce here. Silver needs to bounce soon. Gold going to need to bounce soon. The dollar index needs to go lower soon again. Those things need to happen. That means the emerging markets need to get bid again. And then money is going to need to go back into copper, go back into materials. Yes, technology still may suck. The software still may suck. Sound hell may suck. All that may suck still. But these other trades need to work. And if you have the combination of those sectors working, and even if those other sectors suck, the market will go sideways to higher, probably, in the Dow and Russell. If those sectors cannot do that because the dollar index is rising and rising, and that is telling me that there's deflation happening in the world, and that will pressure it. And you go, well, what causes the dollar to rise? Well, obviously higher rates cause the dollar to rise, so that must mean rates are going higher and higher, and that must mean the market thinks the Fed's gonna raise rates. Potentially even like back in 22, right? That was the trading. So now you have to like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So that's something we need to watch. That's why no trade is guaranteed on our channel. I can't promise a bounce here. The market logically should bounce because I'm not predicting a global deflationary collapse of the markets. Okay. Now some people are out there. I'm not going to lie. And there's some smart people that think that that's what's going to happen. And we're starting that process. The first sign of that happening will be these kind of boxes breaching, silver breaking 44, and copper breaking down below the, I think the November low. Let me go back to copper, make sure I get that right. It'll be copper breaking this low, July 25 low. All right. So we don't know yet. All right. So that's what we have for those stocks. RIG, the question's on RIG. Or there was another question on Bitcoin. Sorry, skipped over that. Bitcoin, how do we know whether it will flush the 30 or 40 or bounce from 55 to 94, then dump later? Well, the problem with double corrections is typically the market double corrects as if you don't bottom properly. And that means you don't get full capitulation on RSI. So if we're going to bounce and fail, we're likely going to make divergence on the RSI, bullish divergence here. So if we pull back and it's a very shallow dip and we make, bullish divergence here, there's a strong likelihood the bounce is going to fail and correct that. But the bounce can be very significant. It could be substantial, in fact, and it could last years even. It could even be a whole new 4-year cycle bounce for all we know. Use your imagination, open up your mind. We could bounce, but it may be like up and down. It may do that all the way for the next 4-year cycle. And then the 4-year cycle after that, we go back down. See, you got to understand that. But this cycle would be over regardless. It just means the bounce. So you can't fear that. You have to trade it still. And you just have to, be alert because this is a large cycle that would end. So the bounce should not be shallow and short because if it is, then what, Bitcoin's going to zero? Probably not. It's probably going to bounce back up to at least 85, but I wouldn't be surprised if it even goes back up to 100,000 or something. Honestly, remember, we're expecting the dollar index to go lower soon. Silver and gold are getting close to buy areas. So we expect that. And hey, if Trump tacos and he tucks tail and goes home, the dollar index is falling. I'm almost positive it's going to fall. And that's is because the petrodollar era is over for the United States. It's over. It's a huge deal. And you can go research what that means on your own. So Bitcoin is priced in dollars. Shocker, it's going to go higher. It should go higher if the dollar is going to go into a fall, a decline. So, guys, that's what's going on here. But if we can get true capitulation with the intensity of the move, then this low has a good shot at becoming a low that you can build off to all-time highs. But you need that capitulation. Right. You need that capitulation. So that's the first part of your question. And then how do you know if it's going to flush deeper in the box? That's about the structure of the wave here, and we have to watch it. Because again, you see this structure here. Let me see if I can do this. This W, you see this W, this little bounce here, and then a big, so you're going to need to come down. You're going to need a bounce and another low. So let's say we just come straight down here and we have no bounce. Well, guess what? It's going to bounce and go lower. So that's how you'll know. But what if it bounces and it doesn't go lower? Well, then what I just said is going to happen. You're going to end the cycle and it's not going to bottom properly, right? And then this is going to turn into a huge connector wave, an A, B, C, right? And then what you finished was 5 waves down to here. And this would come an A, B, and then we'll know we'll be taking another leg down with confidence. So that's why the market's tricky. You're going to have to, watch it. You have to watch it. But what I do know, I have some investors I know that watch this. Their target's been 48,000 since we've even started this. So most people are going to be getting interested in it. Strong buyers are going to get interested in this 48,000. I mean, that was always the number kind of I had in mind. There's your wave 4, right? Always figure, but remember, we always say we lose our whole 5, right? We always say that on our channel, the whole 5 is lost. And then you have a lot of chart support here at 41. So I was thinking somewhere around here would be the right spot. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Somewhere around there would be perfect. Now, it can go lower. The next area is around 33,000 in this area, somewhere in this area. Okay, that's next area, but that obviously that would be true capitulation. And in fact, if you're a bull, that's what you want. So you can go to new all-time highs. If you bottom too soon, then there's a strong likelihood you're gonna have to take another leg down later. And like I said, you have to open up your mind about the time frame. Go ask the ETH investors what that means. See, this is a good example of what I'm talking about. The first leg down. Look at this bounce. It was 2022 to 25. It took another 4-year cycle just to finish your connector wave. See, that can be Bitcoin. That can be Bitcoin. The same thing here. You could take another 3 years just to finish the connector wave. So again, if you're hoping for instant riches, you need to think differently. Open your mind to different, the larger degree cycle, because this is a larger degree correction. So this could take a lot of time, just like ETH did. And then it could also, at some point in the next 4-year cycle, finish what it started. It may not happen as fast as you think. So, but we are in a downtrend. There's no reason to think it's over yet. But if you follow and subscribe to me, I will let you know, like I did back here. For anyone new to follow me, I put out an emergency video when this cycle ended. And I told everyone to buy Bitcoin back then. And it's funny is no one wanted to buy Bitcoin. The people I talked to personally weren't interested in it anymore. But then up here, everybody was interested. It's so funny how the market works like that. So I have a feeling that's another way to test the low. If we're down here, go ask some people, your friends, tell them it's a great time to buy Bitcoin and see what they do. If they laugh at you, then you're probably at the low. You're probably at the low. Because if they're like, oh, cool, I'm going to put, then maybe we're not at the low. Because down here, the people I went to, the normies, and said, hey, stop my Bitcoin, they thought I was stupid. I thought it was the dumbest thing. And I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, hey, I'm trying to help you out make some money. I'm like, I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to be a good Samaritan and help. But I'm like, all right, fine, forget it. I won't say anything anymore. So I tried to tell this guy. I'm like, all right, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. But that's how it is. But that's how the psychology of the marketplace always goes. Thanks for the big super chat, American Dreaming. I really appreciate that. That's definitely, it made my day. Thank you so much for that. So let's see, long-term fib targets for Rig and Matt and P10. Okay. So Rig is coming out of a major bear market. And of course, we had the buy on our channel back on May 25. I told everyone to buy it and then even buy it again on August 25. Again, I'm sure, many influencers are going to be posting that they said to buy it at that time, but they didn't. I did, because I didn't see any posts to say buy Rick. I mean, but unless they did, I'll retweet the post if they can find the post, but I have a feeling they didn't. But I did, and our investors doubled their money and they're sitting pretty. Now look here, this chart is terrible, right? Because they had the Deepwater Horizon disaster, right? And I don't know as a fundamentally if they're still screwed from that or not, but that's the chart. So we have all we can work with is this chart, a 1-2. And now this is the first signs of life of this company. 1-2. But we're nowhere near the high. So I wouldn't worry about like fifth target, because the next target here that I would be looking for, since we have 5 waves up, is this level potentially at like 1043, 1239. That's going to be your test here, because if it can get through this level, then you have a real bull market is now born in Transocean, a new generational bull market. But we've seen before, you can hit wave 3 in this box, and then it can go lower to new lows because it's in a bear market. So you got to be careful. But the target, the test is going to be right here at 1052, $12. That's going to be the test. Now, what's interesting is off the low here, we only have not even 3 waves. Like, we're going to get 3 waves. So we have to be also careful. We're still not in wave 2, because this can come down as an A, a B, we can come all the way back down. We could break the low. Remember, deflationary collapse. I talked about that. So it's definitely not all clear. So you have to be very cautious. And I know like people love these kind of stocks because they're like, oh, it's $6. I'll buy 1,000 of these, but it's actually pretty risky. Right? I showed you the chart. Okay. It wasn't risky here, but now it's risky. So I would just let it play out more and see where it goes. But you need to keep an open mind that it could still be in a secular decline. It's way too early to think it's going to all-time highs. It certainly can. It certainly can go back there. But we need to see it break 15, $16. Then we can start thinking about all-time highs. Now, net, North American Tinker, same kind of idea. I'm not sure what happened to this company. I don't know what their story is, but my goodness. And then we have to call a low. And like I said, it's almost the same conversation, because here you have only 5 up, 3 down, but you only have 3 up. So this could also be a flat as well. And this was a pretty sharp turn down here. So you have to be careful with this one that you're not in a flat as well. So again, I always tell people, like, I get about where it can go, but what can you lose? And the thing, you can lose a lot. It can come all the way back down to $1, $2 in a flat. Now, it's not there yet, but you need to keep an eye on that. Definitely if we come back and break 490. So if we're in this, if this is the count, right, we'd want to see a 5. So the wave 5, the target, the Fibonacci level target for wave 5 would be right around $677, $7. So that's where you would expect wave 5 to reverse. Okay, and then correct the cycle end. And then you correct, and then you go higher. The thing is about this cycle is it can extend though. And ask the people in the gold miners, they tried to time the market and they missed all the money, they missed the move. You can't time the market either. That's the problem. There's no guarantee, because this could become a 1-2, 1-2, and it could just keep going higher. So the best way to trade it is long above 490 and let the market take you out, or wherever your entry is, because it could just keep extending. And again, and if it is a new bull market, potentially, the gains could be tremendous. But right now, it's way too early. Way too early. But it is looking like a new cycle is trying to be born. Okay, it is trying to birth a new bull market. But this is the real test. Get in the 5 or extending past 749. Okay? Wonder why it was so bearish before. I wonder what happened with this company. But I don't know. So you got to be careful with these companies because they could dilute and all this other stuff. There's a reason they keep going down. Okay. But we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. And we'll keep an eye on it. But you see with this higher high, I think see, you've already made the corrective extension right here. So you're already in this area, 563. So yeah, as I was saying, it could be a big corrective move, 3 waves, right? That's the other thing I didn't mention. It could be corrective on a higher time frame, A, B, C, like that, and go to all-time lows. So it's very tough to trade this as a long-term investor here. Now, if you got in down here, well, then you just have to have the conviction and time and the patience to see it through, see your investment through, with an understanding that you may wait and have it not work because it's not really trending, right? It's starting to, but it's not there yet. Let's see here, monthly. Again, monthly, look at that massive hidden bearish divergence on the monthly. You got to be careful on this. I have a feeling, again, if my gut tells me it's going to do a flat, it's not going to make this 5. It's going to come back as into a 5. That's what my gut says. All right, P10. P10 is kind of in a similar situation. Let's take a look. Have 5 waves, a big 3-wave move, another 5 waves, another 2. So again, we're looking for a new bull market to be born. Now, this looks promising, the strength of this move. Right now, it's just in a 1-2, 1-2. And I'm sorry, 1-2, 1-2. So the full cycle is here. And now you're in this 3, 4, 5. So this one definitely is the most bullish of the other 2. This one I would like to buy in 3 waves if I got to pull back. Because this one clearly has a strong trend higher and it's extended. So where can it go? Well, it's already extended. I could try to project a target for wave 3. We would be looking for 1392. So that would take you back to 1550. I think that's the all-time high. So we're looking for a test of the all-time highs. And then, of course, a big pullback, because that's typically what stocks do when they come up here. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. The black line is not the all-time high. That is that's a chart resistance. That's what I drew here. So that's where it's going to go to. See that? Again, I just drew it through a majority of the wicks. You're likely to get rejected there. So that's probably where it's going to get. It's going to tag that line probably, or close to it. And then at that point, what you hope for is it to correct, and then really get going in the future. Okay, that's what you hope for. The other thing I'll point out, like I did the other one, is there's only 3 waves. So if you do not make this 4 and 5, if you only make 3, well then that's corrective, and it can go to all new all-time lows. So that's the problem sometimes trading these kind of stocks, but it is what it is. The next question is, it's about Tillray. So Tillray is a risk divergence, right? It accelerated, I believe, on the daily cycle here, a risk divergence. It's going to take out that peak. So it looks like it's extended lower. So the count we have right now looks something like this. Okay. So it's going to come back and retest these lows. Now, these lows can still hold. And if this sequence can finish, I wouldn't get too hopeful on the short, only because you can short it into the box. But once you get into the box and this sequence is finished, if these lows hold, it will come out. It will go higher. It will not go down. But if you can break these lows, if you can break this all-time low, then it's a go to zero play. Then any rally in 3 waves is it's shorted. Any rally. Essentially go to zero. It's a go to zero play. So the real like technical breakdown will be breaking those lows. So you gotta understand that. Now, short term day trader, if it rallies tomorrow and comes back up to back test 762, we short that down to 493. That's like a slam dunk one, right? If it were to do that. So that's a great short idea right there if it were to bounce, but it may not bounce. So, but right now it's in limbo. So it should continue to extend lower. But once you get into this box and these sequences are finished, like you want to see a bounce and another low, then if that low can hold, it can actually go to new highs. Now, we know with Tillray and these pot stocks is higher interest rates annihilates them, okay, and could bankrupt them. So, and commodity input costs, you can't grow. I guess you can't grow pot. You can't get fertilizer, right? How do you grow that shit? You can't grow it, right? I mean, so I think they're in a lot of trouble potentially fundamentally. So yeah, I can see why they could go to zero. So sure, I get it. Now, if the higher time frame, let's take a look at what's going on. See, we're in this downtrend. The question is where is it going to end? Let's look at the monthly cycle. See, monthly cycle is still bearish on the down. So, see, it's still bearish. The weekly cycle almost tried to turn higher. It looks like it made an attempt, and it just got rejected. So, it's bad news. Yeah, it does look like it's going to trend lower. Okay. The question is, can it take out the all-time low? And I think that's going to be up to what the interest rates do, long-term interest rates. I think that's what's going to happen, long-term rates, because it's going to punish that sector and the company, maybe. Okay. Thanks again for joining. Let's take a look at Pave and Grid. So Pave, tricky chart. I looked at this for a little bit. You see it. It's like a 1-2-1-2 with an extended 3-4. And then I do see it in a wave 3 here. And it looks like a flat. Now this could become a run-in flat, like I said, but it may drop back down to like 44. And then we would want to see a 5, right? And then the grand super cycle will correct. So that's what that's what I think we're seeing right now. So we're in the meat of the move of the flat. I mean, this could be like a 1-2-1-2. This could also be a 1-2-3-4-5, and then make a 1-2 and then 3-4-5. So it's still too early. Like if I was bullish, I would say, oh, there you go, it's 5. We'll rally, but I think we would go lower again, or we're about to raise divergence and extend and finish the correction in the week coming up here. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. I think Pave's pretty straightforward. All right. And then Grid has a potential buy area with a shallow connector here. So I drew this box at 154, 143. In this box here, again, we have a 1-2, a big 3. So this is a 4, and the last one for 5. And then that should end its grand super cycle, and you go into a big bear market. So again, now it can always extend, right? It can always extend. So this could become another 1-2, but there's a potential area where it could rally and bounce here. Okay. We can look at the higher time frames on both of these. You can see here clearly taking out all the peaks. So it's definitely a wave 3, and you need wave 5. Like there's no wave 5 yet. It's likely to go and make more all-time highs with divergence. And then Pave, this one I didn't like, but you see how we ended with 3, but you see this big sharp move down in 3 waves. That's why I think it's in a flat, a higher degree flat. So that's what I think's in right now. The monthly cycle, what we have to keep an eye on with Pave is the monthly cycle. Because if the monthly cycle breaches this trend line I just drew, then we have to think the grand super cycle is done in Pave. Okay, that's deflationary. That's the deflationary collapse scenario. And then we would just be forced to label 4 there. And then we would have to put 5 either here. And then this is a flat off of the grand super cycle, right? One or the other. So we have to, we don't know yet. I think you want to watch that monthly cycle. There's no buy area. I think it's likely to make another push higher, but the monthly is something we want to pay attention to, just like I said with the materials sector. Because if this doesn't find support here and we just keep crashing, well, then that's a deflationary collapse scenario in the market, right? Obviously, infrastructure goes back down to 31. That means nobody's building nothing. No data centers, or no more data centers, no more semiconductor plants, no more, everything's shutting down in the world. That's what that means. This means things are okay for a while. Okay, that's what that means. And it could go sideways. Like I said, it could go sideways for a while. So that's the preferred view. All right. What's going on with natural gas not moving? I think it's just under accumulation right now, to be honest with you. But from a fundamental standpoint, you have to remember that the U.S. has a lot of natural gas, and it can provide that to the rest of the world, And of course, even though the world supplies come down, it's apparently we're being able to offset that. But I don't think, honestly, I don't think it's hit the global markets yet. I don't think the shortages have hit. I think that, eventually the tanks get empty. I think they still have something in them. And remember, people, they don't plan for crises. They're not thinking, more than 24 hours ahead. And, they're worried, like I said, they're worrying about the final 4 and what's going on. When the tank is in, they go out and they find their tank is empty. That's when they'll worry and they'll find out the shit. They may not be available, or prices are going to, then demand will hit, and then panic will hit, and then prices will go up. So I think the chart is just showing accumulation right now. Okay. And of course, it has the summer, you don't use natural gas. So that's always not good for natural gas prices. But I would say LNG always typically follows oil higher, but it lags. Okay. It lags. So you have to wait. You have to wait. So the years, did I screw up and am I greedy for still holding since 5? Well, like I've been telling our elite members with the uranium sector, we don't really want to even be tempted to buy it until the URA is in our buy area. Because the URA is the king of the sector, right? And a lot of these stocks, and I don't know it off, I think the use is in the URA. If the ETF is going down, there's no way the stocks are going to go up, unless, there's always an anomaly, but almost 99% of the time. So the URA and all these uranium stocks have to go lower if this chart plays out. Okay. And we look at this chart, it's a flat. Okay. And it likely somewhere here. Now, when we get to this point, then all those uranium stocks should be okay to buy. Okay. Now, what we have to, that's what has to happen. Okay. Now, we talked about other paths that this can take earlier. And again, I should probably get rid of a lot of this because it's not necessary to see it anymore. And get rid of a lot of this. Okay. So there. All right. So you have, I have it as a 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, we have to keep in mind, this could also be just 3 waves up. Now, of course, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, but I only see 3 here. I don't see 5. So not going to count it like that. So count it as a 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, if it's 3, that's okay because you have a higher high. That would be a start of a leading diagonal. That would become an ABC, and then you would have a 1, 2, and you would still go down. So it doesn't matter the count. It goes down, right? I can come up with different counts, but they all say go down. They all say go down. But once we get down to this area, then that's when things could turn around pretty quickly. So we gotta know that too. So that's the forecast on uranium. So that's going to impact the use, right? That's going to impact the use. Now the use, I've been going back and forth. What is this? What is this? I think this is where I'm landing on it. The use, I think we have 5 waves up, and we're correcting. And our box on the use probably be like $12 somewhere here. Okay, somewhere here. Okay, so it's a correction. So you're like, did I screw up holding since 5? Well, I can't. The only thing I can say is you got it at 5. That's a great price. Got it at 4. Like, see that little pink box? All our members bought it there, by the way, guys. That's probably where he bought it. But we all bought it down there. And so what I always tell people is take some profit along the way. So you have something to show for it, because nothing is guaranteed in the market. It can always go, something can go wrong, right? My forecast could be off. Anything can happen. So you got to have especially with a big move like this. So you got to take something off the table, but you don't take it all off. And then you let the market take you out. And so you look where your entry is all the way down here. So this is just a correction you're going to have to wait through. This is part about patience is rewarded for investing, because if you can work through this cycle and we could find a low here, you're going to get massive gains and that's your reward for waiting. Now, what I would do here is if we bounce, we should bounce here, somewhere in here, probably around $11, $12, like I said. Now, I would move my stop up to wherever this bounce is, from wherever you're in. Then I'm moving because if we go back and go lower, well, then you're going to round trip. It's stupid to round trip at that point. And then it could even be something maybe where our count is wrong. So you wait, and then, okay, you hit this. Now you're going to bounce soon. And then once you start to bounce a new cycle higher, you move your stop up to wherever that pivot is. And then you just let the market decide. That's what you do. But you just keep doing that as long as the trend continues. And if you do it that way, you'll get almost all of the uptrend on any move for years or months or whatever it is. You may not get out at the exact top, but you'll get most of the gains. If you don't do it that way, you're always guessing, and you're always just kind of gambling. So I think that's what we're seeing. So this is the box on the use, but the URA needs to hit its box, and you see it's a long ways down. Now, this could be a run in flat. It may not drop as far. It may truncate because it's a flat. It's hard to project it exactly. So just know that. Okay, but the use, I mean, there's some chart support here at 1481. But yeah, $12. That's your wait for low. Okay. All right. So gold and silver are going to bounce soon. Okay. Yeah, I think they're going to bounce soon. I mean, the problem I have is the miners fell so quickly. Okay. And the miners have made 3 waves down. They're all in boxes, most of them, but the metals aren't. So the metals either are going to fall, they have one more big flush early in the week, and then they're done. They're bottomed. Or they're going to truncate, and the miners were the clue. The other possibility is they flush, and the miners flush out of the boxes, and that would be the sign that, they may bounce, big tap bounce, but go lower, which could be the deflationary scenario. So we have to keep it like that is definitely something we're going to be watching this week, and how those react from their boxes. Okay, we're going to have to watch that. Now, to me, the dollar index is going to drive a lot of that. So what's going to drive the dollar index? Well, at first I thought when I heard Trump was going to just go back and leave Europe to their devices, I thought, well, there you go. The dollar index is going to fall, and then gold and silver are going to go up, and our boxes hit, and those metals are just going to truncate. But then again, we just don't know. Right, because now it's like I'm going to bomb the hell out of them. So if you bomb the hell out of them, then God knows where they're going to go. And again, it could create the problem is this week could be like the worst case scenario this week is they bomb the hell out of each other, and then it is over this week. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to be over this week. Yeah, but what if it's over and everything's just destroyed? All of the power plants are destroyed, the desalination is destroyed, and the oil distribution is destroyed. What if it's just all piles of rubble and everyone looks at each other and goes, what the hell did we just do? And then that's the new normal. What does the world look like in 7 days if that has happened? You think about that. It can get out of hand real fast. You know what I mean? So we don't know what it's going to look like. Yeah, this may end in a week. You know, there's people like trying to predict, oh, everything's going to be okay because the stars are this and that, and Neptune's doing this. And like, I don't give a shit about that. I just tell you, like, if it's going to be over in a week, you may not like how it ends at the end of the week. Okay. So just be careful. And then you're like, well, the 4 hour is going to bounce, but where's it going to bounce from? Is it going to bounce from 652 SPY or 605 SPY? Where's it going to bounce from? Like, those are the questions that people don't really think about when they say stuff like that. But yeah, I think gold and silver should be ready to rally soon, but not yet. However, the miners are in boxes. I guess they could go lower a little bit, but it tells me the dollar index may be ready for more downside sooner than people realize. If that's the typical trade that we expect, which would be the normal world we have been living in. If we're in a different world, then those trades will not work, and we will stop out, and those will continue lower because we'll be in a deflationary crisis. The world would be coming to a stop for some reason. Okay. All right. Next is, thanks, Keith, for the kind words. So I've got a couple stocks here we'll go through. A-Lab, Micron, MBIS, and Caliburn. All right, let's take a look. Looks like this one, we got that short really nice here. All right. So we're still jammed up in this 2-wave. All right. Let's take a look at this. You see how you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. You don't even have a bounce. So yeah, this is going lower. But because of that, you're gonna get close to that low. You're gonna get close to that low. So we're gonna have to check the RSI out. So this may be too bullish. This could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all. Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to change the label on the higher time frame view. Something like that. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's correcting the whole cycle. So I would expect more downside, but the problem is that's just 2. So you haven't seen the worst of it yet. You're about to, though. It's about to happen. So if that's 4, we know most of the time in our channel, we come back to the 4. So I'd be looking for one more downside. Okay. Micron we could have put the peak in. Okay. This peak, it's too early to tell for sure. On the grand super cycle, it would be super cycle 3, which would make us 4, and you still need another high. So Micron's cycle is not over. And in fact, it can keep extending. So we like to buy Micron in 3 waves. And you know, it's still in the cycle high. It's still in the uptrend on the daily cycle. Let's take a look at the weekly cycle. I had a sharp break with some bearish divergence. So it is topping. Okay, it's topping. Elbow down, look at the dip. So I have a funny feeling it's probably topped. Okay. I don't know how big the correction is going to be. We can only assume if it's a 4, it does a proper 618 correction. We can look. That'll get you back down to 291. Now, the problem is I don't see a lot of chart support there. So it would likely go lower to the 235. So that's what I'd be looking for if that correction started. And somewhere down here, 235. But that's buyable, very buyable. Okay. All right. So very much buyable. It looks to me, of all indications, the correction has started. Okay. It is a little early, a little premature, but, and it would be, let's take a look at the 45-minute. It would be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we look, you see I have no divergence there. That's concerning. So let's go to I want to just look at this wave one more time. Now see, if you go to the 15-minute, it has a proper, it looks proper. And the count is also in 5. So yeah, it's tough because again, if you say the divergence is erased, you would still say you're in 4, right? And then what that means is it does something like this. It makes one more high, and then it has the major peak. So I think I'm torn between these two charts. So I think you got more downside, but you need to be careful you don't get something like this later, and then you top. Because the 45-minute, the way it looks on the 45-minute cycle. So I think that's what we're going to have to go with. Okay, we just have to go with that because typically we would see more divergence on that 45-minute. So I'm just going to go with this view. So I think you are going to pull back, but I think it's going to do something like this. But when that major cycle's over, it's going to go into a multi-year bear market. Or at least a year, right? It's got to correct the whole thing, right? But it's still buyable. So I think that's what we'll go with. Let me see the wave 2 it's matched against. Yeah, see this wave 2 went from October 2014 with 2 years. Yeah, so my guess is I wouldn't be surprised if we're still in the wave 4. This wave 4, okay? MBIS, here you made a lower low, so this is likely going to fade and make another move down. So let's take a look at this count. Could be 5 waves down here. I think that's how we would label it. We'll label it 5 waves down. Right, and then we would do some kind of, we can't bottom in 5, it's kind of A, B, and C, and then this is like a flat. So it probably needs one more high. So this looks like it needs one more high. I'm sorry, wrong wave. There. So I would be looking for one more high. And then, now, if this high can take out the all-time high, that would be great for the grand super cycle on this. That would show more upside in the future. But it would probably come back down to these lows again. Now, higher time frames, we already have like a 1, 2. And I would probably chart this as like a 1, 2, 1, 2. But we would have to look at the RSI later. Okay. Now, yeah, I would probably go 1, 2, 1, 2, but we need to look at the RSI when this C finishes. And Halliburton, getting close to a 5th wave, right? Look at all that bearish divergence on the daily, on the weekly. Yeah, so this is about to correct. It's about to correct this cycle and pull back, right? That's what it's probably about to do. And then may pull back to maybe $30, and then it's got a much bigger, that's when I think all the upside happens after this pullback. So something like that. And higher time frame, again, I don't have it all labeled, but you have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And this could become like a left shoulder, a head, and your right shoulder, and then the super cycle for years and years of gains. So personally, if I bought this early down in this area, I would not be looking to time the market in it because it can just keep extending. Because this got years, this is like long-term investment. This is why I said, guys, energy is where you want to be in the future. What does this says about our future? I don't know. But it says energy is going to be a good area to put your money in. And it's still, you're still early. That's what this says. The only way this doesn't play out is deflationary bust. Now, this cycle, can I get a bearish count out of it? I only see 3. I see 5. So I don't see a bearish count that I can, I mean, I guess I could force one somehow. I can't even force one because it's 5 up. So the bearish count would look something like this if it were to happen. A, B, C, and then make a flat and come back down in 2. So that's possible. So that's always possible. Okay. All right. You asked about prop. Oh, I missed that. Okay. I'll come back to that. In a minute here. Corn. We'll do corn and then prop. Remember with chlorine, it's very intensive, right? It takes a lot of fertilizer. All right, so chlorine, call that the low, obviously. So these kind of funds, you know, they're not like typical impulses, but we'll do the best that we can. Right, 1, 2, 3. 3 down, 3 up. And then we'll see what that is in a minute. Okay. So a lot of divergence here. So it does look impulsive on the way down. So my guess is, I'm thinking, let's go, whether we got the weekly, let's go to the monthly. Yeah, we definitely have 5 waves down. So I think what we'll do is like that. It's probably like a flat here. So probably right off of this low at 1663 is bullish. Okay. So I would say as long as you stay above 1660, we could start to see a real big breakout in this fund. Okay. Now we could take a look here. This is the weekly cycle. We're just about to break out. That would produce pretty good upside. And it looks like the monthly cycle has already broken out higher. So we are in a new trend higher. We could be in this Y. It could be this Y. This could be substantial gains. Okay. We don't know that yet. It's way too early. So now you just have to stay long above this level and let the market decide for you. But it's moving in 3 waves. So we'll do something like that. And pull back and, you know, so you have to just play it out. But it's good you're getting in early. So that way, when you get up here and everyone's chasing it, you're not going to have to worry too much because this is early. This is very early if this low can hold. All right, now prop looks like we see it was like an A, B, C. So now we're going into the wave 3. You see that has just plummeted. So it was a big correction in this 2 wave, right? A, B, C. So it's like a big correction. So it's still got more downside. Again, I wouldn't be catching a falling knife here. This is a classic go to zero stock, but I know it's tempting. I do think what happened here is it took such a long detour. Like it could have finished here, but they trapped a lot of buyers to trick them into thinking it was bottoming, but it wasn't. See, now it's going to flush. Now it's going to flush. So let me check out some RSI for us here. All right, let's go to the monthly. Yeah, see, you're still in the downtrend. Still in the downtrend. But that weekly cycle, that was a heck of a balance. Yeah, we're going to change it up just when they're actually with such a big bounce. And now with the new low, we're going to make another wave down. So this corrected, that little bounce corrected this whole cycle. Let me try to draw it. So yeah, so we're still in this cycle. So yeah, this is going to go, so it's going to take a whole nother leg lower. I'll try to make it darker so you can see it better. So yeah, now it's got a whole nother set of, yeah, I would just be looking to short this now. Okay. So this is not something I would be interested in buying. All right, next is, let's take a look. All right, please look at UMAP and AMAT. UMAP, like I posted on my channel, is taking a path where it's going to probably consolidate for a while. And like I said, I think I posted this before. There's really not much to say about it. You see likely path. It's going to probably be sideways for quite a while, maybe until the summer, fall even. But as of now, there is still possibility that the parabolic move could still happen. It is in a box, so we'll know soon. I don't remember if I looked at this like recently. Yeah, see, it's right on the edge. So it has to bounce like tomorrow. If it can bounce and rally hard tomorrow, this path straight up is still possible. But it's likely not to do that. That's why it says this path. So because of that, the other view on it is, so we don't have enough data. So if tomorrow we don't bounce hard, then this isn't the path higher it's going to be the sideways path I show here. And then this is going to turn into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this would become A, and then B, and B can become a triangle, so many things. I don't even want to speculate. So many things, B, and then C. So we'll know tomorrow. And it doesn't probably, my guess is it's going to probably do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's going to form a B wave, and it will do some kind of like 1, 2, 3, and B. It'll do like a B wave. And if you remember, we always go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It usually comes back to the 4. So that means it would drop all the way back down to 11, 17 at some point, and then come out. Okay. So I think that's what you want to do. All right. That seems like the path we're going to take. This, like I said, the likely path. This is obviously the path that you could, and it's still in play. But we needed that bounce on Monday. Trump screwed it up for everybody, I guess. He screwed up your bounce. Okay, then AMAT. Let's see here. AMAT. Let's take a look here. We've done pretty well with it. We have to probably be in some wave 3s now. Yeah, that's probably the first wave 3 finishing up now. So AMAT, we will look at it here. Right. So as you can see, it's got a lot of upside still, right? Look at the 1, 2, look at all the waves. So it's definitely buyable, but it's in a correction. Okay. This wave too took almost like a year, so like 8 months to correct. So this wave 4 could take a long time. So it's in a correction. There's possibility you could just do a quick double correction though. If it were to do that, there's a box we can put on it. We'd like to buy this at 282, 264. So that's an area you can look to buy it if the market wants to tank, and that would be a wave 4 low. Okay, that'd be a wave 4 low, and then of course we'd see more upside. So I'd like to buy that if it can do that. Okay. C-SPAN, all right. C-SPAN, sugar producer. Well, we saw sugar turning higher. The commodity looks like it's in a box. Sugar's in a box. So I bet this is going to come out soon. Again, sugar's like a commodity. They're not paying attention to this stuff, right? Everyone's worried about buying Tesla and stuff right now. All right. So it's in a box. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. So it's accumulation. It's an accumulation. So look at all that bullish divergence here. It's just, yeah, smart money is just probably being accumulated right now. It hasn't broken out yet, but I bet it's about to. Okay. So I'll try to label it just to kind of see where we are with the correction. Looks like just a common zigzag correction, an ABC, but let's see here. 1, 2, 1, 2. No, maybe not a zigzag because of the way this is looking. Let's just take a look at this one more time. Yeah, I'll just call it 3 waves down. So you have 3, 3, 3, ABC, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So something like this, and then this is an ABC down. And again, this 1, 2, 1, 2. So you have like a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then you have your 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. So it's probably close to finishing up this correction. So we would expect it to rally, right? A bounce, especially if the commodity is turning out, right? You would think if it's related to sugar, it would do well. So that's what I got. That's all we have right now. So I think that's all I can say on it. All right, MOD. Thanks for the big super chat. I really appreciate that. That's amazing. Thank you so much. MOD, Aldridge, 898. MOD's been doing pretty good. Our charts pretty much played out exactly as we expected. There's our 4. So now we're looking for, we still like to see it continue higher. Let's just make sure we're not too bullish on it. But no, I think that's fine. So yeah, I mean, if it's a 4, we really need the bottom here. We don't want to go any deeper. We'll overlap too much. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. So we really want to hold that 180.46, make a 5. Now this 4, you see, something like that. That's what we're looking for. So I would say you really want to hold that level. Now, if you don't hold that level, it's going to take a big 3 waves down. But that's going to be too big for 4. And then you only have 3 up. So then we have to really look at the whole structure and see what's going on. If that were to happen. Let's just get rid of all this for a minute so I can see it better. So could it be a flat off of this peak? It would be unusual. It would be so big for a B wave. to be a flat. So then could it be a leading diagonal? Looks like 5 up, so I don't think it would be because that's only showing 3 up. Yeah, I think right now we should leave it labeled this way. But if we do breach this level, the only count that would work would be a flat off of this peak for right now, which would mean it would come all the way back down to 65. So it'd be it'd be pretty bad for the company. So would be a huge level. I think needs to hold 178.80. It really needs to finish this 5th wave now, because once it finishes the 5, then it can make another 1-2 and go deeper. It can become like 1-2, 1-2. But this is clearly 3 waves. It's not 5 waves. So this would be very bearish if it can't really finish this 5th wave. What do they make? Just like an industrial company. Again, that would be deflationary. That would be a canary in the coal mine that maybe there's a more deflationary collapse happening in the economy we don't know about. All right. But we like this. All right. ZETA, it's highly unlikely, but we want to watch that level. ZETA made 5, and then look at that big flat here. Now this one looks like it should push higher. This looks like it turned into like an A, B, C. And now that looks like 5 waves up. Yeah, classic. So this looks like it's starting its new uptrend here. So that looks like 5 waves from here. All right. And then this is a correction. There's a little shallow connector. And that gets you right about where it is now, but it'd probably come back to 1621. So somewhere in this box. So it could rally from this box and start the next cycle, really start the next cycle higher. We like this because of the higher high. And then it can come out. And then here we like this in a 1-2, 1-2. It did hit this box. And so this we definitely like it. It's just yeah, it's just interesting. Let's see what these guys do. Packaged software. Again, I have no idea why they would be breaking out in a wave 3 of thing. I don't know nothing about their business, but seems like it's got a good setup right here. One of the better ones we've looked at tonight. All right. REMX is breaking down tonight. Well, one, I never used the futures price. So to me, what's happening tonight is irrelevant. However, let's just assume it does breach our level. We've talked about what that means. Typically, when those boxes are breached, what it happens is you double correct. So what it will turn into is a longer correction, right? You would breach it, you would bounce and go down again. That's what usually happens. Okay. So that's what I would be looking for. So the next level is hard to say because we also know, and I say this before, sometimes if the market doesn't want to wait for a big double, it just crash corrects to the level. So you can kind of get a rough idea. So it'd probably be somewhere down around 49. So it could just crash correct too. That's why you have to stop out, because 77 can become 48, 49 before you know it. And then the 2 is just done in a crash correction. So I don't know which one we're going to get. Now, we know there's ALBs in this ETF, but that structure isn't that clear. But when ALB hits a low, and I think ALB, something like this, I think there's strong support for ALB at 110. So perhaps REMX bottoms at the same time. I hate doing it like that. That's like chess player trade in, but they are in the same ETF and it is a big component. So I think that's one way of looking at it, but it's not like a slam dunk either because it's in a flat. See, 120, it could even be 112. So, but I would say bigger picture, use this as an opportunity, I think to shop for, because to me, this looks very much like the gold miners in 2023 and 2023 and everything. So I would definitely be, hungry, feeling, eating this up. Like I would 1, 2, 1, 2. So to me, I'd rather, well, I welcome a deeper pullback, because then it's more opportunity. Like I rather play the long game and dollar cost average this in over months or years, because the chart tells me long-term investment is going to be rewarded in this based on the chart I'm looking at. All right. But you have to do what's best for you. I know if you're trading it, yeah, it's tough. And it should rally, though. Again, Trump screwed up everybody's plans, right? The market was set up to rally. You had a lot of things in boxes. We did. So why would these boxes fail? Why are the sectors in boxes were more of your like industrial miners, these kind of like material sectors, but yet they're not. So now I'm like, the reason they're not bouncing, are we in something more deflationary right now that people don't realize? Or is the market preparing for a deflationary collapse? Are they preparing for scorched earth? Is the market going to price in everyone's going to obliterate themselves and then go, oh my God, what did we just do? And there's nothing left in the Middle East. Like, and again, this is the worst case nightmare scenario, but it can happen very quickly and get out of hand. If there is no global referee. The UN is not coming in and saying, okay, guys, enough's enough. Go home. It's over. There's no referee in war. They're just going to keep firing back and all hell could break out. And before you know it, everything can be destroyed. And if everything's destroyed, the world's going to come to a halt. So I hope the market isn't pricing in that scenario. But if this starts dropping like that, and gold and silver start dropping like that, and the miners start dropping like that, and copper starts dropping like that, I'm like, and the dollar index is doing this, then I'm like, the market's pricing in something much more darker than even maybe we're thinking about, than I need to start thinking about. And I want to buy the dip because I don't want to think that dark, and it's not likely, but maybe I needed to be more bearish but again, I can't. The most likely path was not what I just said, right? That to me is still a Six Sigma event, a global deflationary collapse, because both sides blew each other up to smithereens and there's nothing left standing, and you can't get oil out anymore, and Iran is all blown apart and millions and tens of millions have no water and power. I mean, that to me is the worst case. Like, how can you, like, I'm not going to trade for that kind of scenario, but the market if the market's going to start to crash, that's maybe what they're afraid of. And again, maybe they know something we don't know. I hope not. All right. MOX does core for data centers. Interesting. Okay. JTAI. Let's take a look at JTAI. What is going on with this one? Well, we know it was coming to an end soon, but it's like, how do you time it? So we can look at the RSI and take a look. So the 4-hour is trying to come out of the downtrend. Not quite there yet, but it's close. How about the daily? See the daily turning up? Look at that. So this cycle is over. That leg is done. And we're still in the uptrend. So it's in a daily cycle higher. The weekly cycle is not showing us it's just starting to elbow up. So I look at this. How about the 4-hour cycle? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely ended this down, so it's over. So it is bottoming. Okay, it's in the process of bottoming. Now, what's interesting, let's look at the price. The price is falling. See that bullish divergence on the 4-hour, on the daily, and the daily's breaking out. Oh yeah, price is going to follow. This is on a verge of a pump. I don't know why. I guess if let's see 12%. Yeah, see, this is on a verge. So this was something, if you would have savvy enough, you could have bought on Friday, I guess, because I think this is going to follow through higher. So I don't know. I would say anything above this level, wherever that is, 8.0857. I would just assume it's in a new uptrend, but we don't even have any data. I don't even know what it's going to turn into. I mean, but it looks like the 4-hour cycle's coiling. That will give you the really nice move that's going to catch, all the alerts on everybody's old screen. And then the daily's already breaking out. It's already broken out higher. And the weekly, it's just starting to elbow up. See how it kind of did something like that? What did the price do back then? Yeah, so you got that big pump. Here, when we look, where did we get it? Right about here, the first part, and then it faded. So it happens fast. So I would have fallen in love with it. So what it's done, it's over. So on the chart resistance, if it's correcting this first leg, so if it's correcting the whole thing, it's likely to come back up to this area here, $3-4. If it's not correcting the whole leg, because we don't know yet, if it's just correcting that first part, let me reorient myself to this graph. Here, okay. This part, right? So right now it's only balanced to correct this part of the leg. I mean, we have to look at where the 3 and 4 are right there. There's the 4. So 116, I'd be looking for here. So I think I would be looking for this target. So it could just do a quick little wick up here. Everyone's so excited, and then that's it. It's over for again. Or it could go to something much bigger, and then it can do the whole thing. And that's where I think it comes back up to this area. But I think it's just started that process now. Okay, I think it's just started that process now. I don't know what is this? What does this thing do? What are they into? SaaS products and private aviation services, business to business software. So I don't know. This should probably just be a pump or something. Who knows? It could be like MLBX. They'll just drop some news or something, and everybody, buys into it. But that's what I see. So now if we break this low here, it's invalidated, right? It's not, then what I said is, then it's likely to elbow back down, and it may even come back and take that low out. So it really needs to hold that level because it's already turned. It's got to hold that level. Okay. CNR had a great dip buy on Friday, but my broker, sometimes the brokers don't feel right, and the levels and things, it sucks. Yeah. CNR definitely needs to be on your shopping list, coal, right? They're going to have to make up that lost natural gas somehow. They're going to be burning coal all over the world, putting the poor, carbon footprint, and just screw the carbon footprint, of the world. They're just going to be burning coal because they have no choice. Yeah, the pot stocks, the technicals are risk divergence. So we have to change with the market. I know it's like it's hard on people to change when the data changes, but that's a sign. A lot of experienced traders can change on a dime because they have to. If the data changes, you have to change. You have no choice. A lot of amateurs think that's like, oh, ha, 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 you're stupid. But that's a lot of, like if you really look, and I'm not saying that just to say it. I mean, go do your own research. You can Google amateur trader in terms of like making your decision around the technical data. If you cannot change your view based on the data from a flip of a coin, and believe me, I will shift when I see the data shift, I change. And I don't care if I hurt anyone's feelings or someone goes, ha ha ha, you don't know what you're doing. I could care less because it's my money and I'm going to want to make money. And shifting is part of trading. But if you can't do that, if you feel like you can't do that because you have an ego or you're not intellectual or you have too much pride, then you should not trade. And you actually should let something like give up trading and not do it or not and let someone else invest your money because you're going to lose it all because pride and ego are the biggest killers. And that's what's going to happen with people because that also leads to hope. So we always look at the data on a channel. And if it changes, I change. You have to. And if you don't, you lose. And the market is designed to do that because the market is also designed to fool you, to make you see one thing and then change it because they think you won't change, but I will change just as quick with the market. And that's what the market makers tend to do. They'll manipulate even chart patterns. They'll set up an inverse head and shoulders to make it look like one, show it break out, and then they collapse it, right? And so then you have to flip bearish and go from bullish to bearish. And if you can't do that and flip on a dime, you're never going to win because you have too much pride and ego. So I don't really care about Tillray, F Tillray. I could care less about him. I'm just telling you what the chart says. It erased divergence. So the momentum is now shifted to the downside. So we have to change. But I am still bullish on it. I don't know if you heard everything I said because we still have a box on Tillray. That's what I told you guys. Look, so again, also, what's your time frame? Look, there's nothing bearish about that. I would still say it can bounce here as long as that all-time low is held. If that all-time low holds here, guess what? It's going higher. And yes, I'm bullish. So again, I'm bullish on the higher degree time frame. The shorter time frame, I'm not. But again, if you can't process that, if that is uncomfortable for you to hear and understand, you should not be doing this. You're not going to be able to survive. So yes, I would short Tillray to death until if we bounce back up to 762. But when we come into this box, I may want to buy Tillray. Oh, how can you do that? Or you know what? I may even have positions open in both on different time frames. Because my time frames are different. So you got to understand that's how it works. That's how trading works. You got to understand that. So you got to switch. You cannot just be a perma anything. But you see that out a lot online. And a lot of traders are like, ha, 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 you didn't know what you're doing. But you got to understand, you got to flip. And that's why people follow me because I'm not married to one narrative. I'll flip on the data. The data flips, I flip. I have no love for any stock. If stock doesn't work, I get rid of it. I could care less what it is. To me, it's four random letters. It doesn't mean nothing to me. Tesla, Nvidia, they mean shit to me. All they mean is making me money. If they're losing money, I don't want to own them. That's how it is. That's how the market, that's how I process the market. That's how my mind processes the market. But not everyone does. So that's how it is, guys. So anyway, so that's all I want to say, guys. So we'll wrap it up here. The market is oversold on the 4-hour time frame. It wants to bounce bad. Technically, it will search for a headline and latch onto it like you wouldn't believe. So you just gotta understand that. And believe me, Trump, I would say Trump, don't be surprised if he just says, "Oh yeah, I'm not bombing their utilities. You think I'm crazy?" So do not read into those headlines, guys. Do not read it. Those headlines that we have learned over the years. You ignore Trump's tweets. You just trade the chart in front of you. But the 4-hour is oversold. All right, I got a last minute one here. DigitalOcean. Let's take a look. What's going on here? It looks like our chart playing out okay. Let's take a look at where we are to stay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. It's like magic, isn't it? And Let's go to the 4-hour. Now, what's interesting, you see how we see that surge higher, taking out divergence there. Interesting. So the plot thickens. We would have to assume that it's not done yet. So it's going to extend. So something like that. So I would be looking for extension. It's not done yet. We can try to go to the shorter cycle and see. So, I mean, so something like that. So the reason is the surge is so high. We want to see it top with bearish divergence here, but we don't have it. We don't have it. So the thing is, because it's a connector wave, like we know it can go like way up and that. So I would just continue to trade it higher, right? For the foreseeable, like, but it's not, I don't think that's the peak. I don't think it's the peak. I don't think it's the peak. Let me just double check our bottom just to make sure here. Called it an A, B, C. Looking at that bottom, I think we could put the, I don't know, I don't know when I did this, but I think looking at it from that weekly cycle, I mean, it looks like to me, we would call it that way. So yeah, I definitely would continue to trade this on the long side. I think I'm making a change. I don't know if I didn't see that weekly cycle when I looked at it, but that looks like a good low and it's just truncated. So what that means is it could start a new cycle higher. So I don't think there's any reason to fear some kind of like big rug pull. Now it can always do that. Like I'm not saying it can't do that, but I think it's best to assume it's in a new cycle higher. Okay. So I think it's best to assume that. So yeah, I would be looking to hold on. So what are these guys? DigitalOcean, cloud infrastructure. So I wonder if they do some kind of AI like hosting or something like that. Okay. Yeah, this one's good. If you can get it a 3-wave pullback. If we can get a 3-wave pullback. Yeah, when we looked at it, I must have just didn't see that or something, but that's why I wanted to check it one more time. So that low is in. So yeah, this we would assume it's in a new cycle higher. And this is exactly how wave 3s look, right? They just keep going vertical and vertical. So that one looks good. Okay, I think I've covered everything I wanted to. So I hope everyone has a good night and stay safe out there. And like I said, we're in, I think this week's a crazy week for the markets. It could be a historic week, very interesting week. So let's see here. Oh, I got another one here into automated trade, but I left a comment. Yeah, I don't, I appreciate doing that. That if that helps you out, that's fine. I mean, that's cool. I just leave it the way it is. I don't want to make a lot of changes to it, but I appreciate doing that for me. Then you can, I don't think there's a way you can share it with the community if you wanted to. But yeah, I just, let's just leave it the way it is. I've been asked to change things before. Maybe I'll consider it, but I just want to leave it the way it is for now. But thanks for doing that. I appreciate trying that. Okay, so I think that's it, guys. Yeah, what a week we have. So good luck out there. And if you haven't thought about join my service. I think you'll be happy with it. We don't get it all right all the time, but we have a good idea, and it's good to just get someone to give you my opinion on the market. You get hear what's going on, because I definitely bring